I have spoken to Vikas that we want it in
Good,
three
good, e-
parts,
good
and
evening,
at the
friends.
end of one part, you will call upon me, then second part, then third part, and he has agreed.
Right, right.
Good evening, friends.
Yeah.
We are thankful that Justice Manju Goel, a former judge from Delhi High Court, has agreed to share her knowledge on fundamental duties of nationalism. Those who have been connected with us know that we have started celebrating 75 years of the Constitution with different aspects, especially with special reference of Constitution. And in that endeavor, all the judges and speakers have been kind enough to share the knowledge. Justice Dalvi has also joined today, and she would also pitch in her ideas, though primarily it will be led by Justice Manju Goel. And we are always indebted to Justice Dalvi for connecting and helping us people who are having on the same page, ready to share the knowledge. And we have already done one session on these fundamental duties by Justice Paramjit Singh Dhaliwal. Those who have missed it can connect with that. So this session will be taking some particular aspects. Beyond that, I will ask Justice Dalvi to give a brief chip in regarding the today's session, and thereafter Justice Manju Goel will take over.
Well, thank you, Vikas, and thank your organization. Thank my friend Roshan. And thank everybody for sparing a valuable Sunday evening for my presentation. Very often we hear that fundamental duties are only ornamental, that they cannot be enforced, that they are just there without any meaning. So I launched upon a search about the value of the fundamental duties. So the first thing I discovered was that duty as such is not defined in the Constitution. But we as Indians know very well what is our duty. And a little anecdote to begin with. I got down at the Dehradun railway station at about 10 o'clock in the night. The boy who was supposed to pick me up and take me to his university did not arrive at the platform. So I get down from the compartment with my luggage and kept looking here and there, and suddenly I found all the crowd gone, the train is gone, the police are in the other platform, and I'm alone. And it's not platform number 1, so that means I have to cross the other line through the bridge. I have a suitcase in my hand and I am wearing a sari. That means I have to pick my sari with one hand and pick my suitcase and my purse. I cannot climb up some 40 steps up and then get down 40 steps, and it is 10 o'clock in the night. It is a dim railway platform in a remote place like Dehradun. So I was just wondering as to what will happen to me. Suddenly a boy appears from nowhere. He picks up my luggage, rushes up and takes me out of the station. And when I say thank you, he says, no, it is my duty. So maybe there are still people like that, but was it his duty? This is one thing. And when I reached the university and I told people this happened with me, they said he must be one of the students from the army academies there. So maybe they are taught that, which is very happy, that people consider this to be duty, but some people may not consider this as a duty. We have seen the Sikhs in the US after that great fire distributing necessary things. And if you think that they are doing a favor, they will say, no, this is seva that is assigned to us by our religion. So Indians very well understand what is duty. And maybe the constitution framers perhaps did not think it necessary to put duties as such as a chapter. So this comes to us in 1976-77 as an amendment in the Constitution, but then duties are with us eternally from 10,000 years or so. Some people have put Ramayana to be 10,000-year-old with the latest research, etc. So Ramayana is a story of duties only. So we know what the duties are. In ancient times, duties were well known. They were defined. They were not vague. And in case there were conflict between one duty and the other, one's duty and the other's duty, they were actually very senior people who could, the rishis, who could actually give them the law as to whose duty is what in a given situation. So now duties, as we see, are these words we find in Article 51A: cherish, value, strive, respect, uphold, promote, etc., which are all actually matters of feeling. And therefore, it is expected that we grow up with these feelings in our mind about the Constitution and about the way our Constitution works, about the values of our Constitution, what is expected of us as citizens of free India. Now, they're quite elaborate, and even they look small, they are actually many. Like 51A, 51A, then small a, that is the first clause, it says the duty of every citizen of India shall be A, to abide by the Constitution, respect its ideals and institutions, national flag and national anthem. So when I want to really find out how many duties are there, I found 5. Abide by the Constitution, respect the ideals of the Constitution, respect its institutions, respect its national anthem, and respect its national flag. So there are 5 rolled into one. So similarly, when you see the other fundamental duties, the 11 of them, all of them have many duties rolled into one. So let me deal with the first duty, that is A. And if you see A, it is, as I said, to promote. Sorry, let me get A. To abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions. So what are our ideals and institutions? Yes, because so apart from, if I harbor any ill will about something which I should not as a citizen under this Constitution, maybe it is not something actionable because intentions are not actionable. Our actions are actionable. If I do something to show my disaffection with any of these, the sovereignty and other ideals, I will be on the wrong side of law. Is it going well? Some issues?
No, it's fine.
No, ma'am, it's fine. It's fine. Ma'am, you can go ahead.
Okay. So I give you the story of Praveen Bed Togadia. He was an RSS chief at the given point of time, and he was invited in a big event called Virat Hindu Mela, which was organized at Belgaum. So when he was trying to come to Belgaum, before that he received an order from the district magistrate barring him under section 144 CRPC, as it then was. He was barred from entering Belgaum on the excuse that on certain previous occasions he had made certain statements in his speech which caused some communal disharmony. So he challenged this order before the Karnataka High Court. And the High Court set aside that order, although there were technical reasons, but High Court did set aside that order. But nonetheless, the High Court warned Tegodia that his speech should not contain any aspect, anything that may cause communal disharmony. So with this remark, he was allowed to enter Belgaum. So this is how the fundamental duty is now becomes an order from the court. Then C is to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, and regional and sectional diversities, to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of woman. So this also requires Tegodia or anybody making a speech to take care of this duty. Although Constitution otherwise directs us from the preamble itself to remain united as countrymen rather than feeling divided on the lines of religion, language, or region. Now, Section 295A of the Indian Penal Code and Section 153A, small a and small b, of Indian Penal Code were these sections which were mentioned by the High Court in its own order, saying that Tagodia should not make any remark which may come within the hold of 153A and 295A of Indian Penal Code. So I don't want to read, but then these are just to maintain communal harmony and preventing anybody from making any derogatory statement which may cause disharmony. Now, freedom of speech. One may say, I have the freedom of speech, so why can't I make a speech and open my heart? And then this what is called that reasonable restrictions of Article 19(2) will come into play. So that will be one of the reasonable restrictions to prevent a person from saying any such thing. Then duties at C and D. Some other link.
Go on, Manju.
Okay. So now we have, then I can come to the story of Kanhaiya Kumar. Kanhaiya Kumar was the president of Students' Union in the prestigious University of prestigious Jawaharlal University. And in a students' meeting on the 9th of February 2016, some slogans derogatory to the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of Bharat were raised. Kanhaiya Kumar was present in the meeting. He, along with certain other students, were arrested. Kanhaiya Kumar did not deny that he was present, but he did not admit that he was part of the slogan mongering. Now, he was then booked under those very provisions, Section 124A, 120B, 34, 147, and 149 IPC. The matter is still pending. But if those slogans are proved to have been uttered by him, certainly he has committed one of those offenses. And this will be in derogation of the fundamental duty cast upon us. So C, then E. Clause E requires us to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. So Kanhaiya Kumar's slogans would be offending this duty. This will be in disregard of the duty, and therefore also he will be on the this will be both ways. What I mean to say is not following a duty, falling under C, clause C of 51A will mean that he is committing an offense punishable by the criminal law. So this, what I have found that although fundamental duties are said to be not enforceable, in fact, if we violate the fundamental duty, we will find somewhere ourselves, disobeying the law and rendering ourselves liable for penal action. Now, I will invite Roshan to make her comments on this part.
Yes, friends, the entire constitution, as we once said, actually smells of the fragrance of harmony amongst people. It is not only the chapter of duties but also of rights. And as Justice H.R. Khanna had said, a constitution is not a parchment of paper, it is a way of life and has to be lived up to. So, as we go along, each of the fundamental rights and duties, we find that our constitution wants harmony between all of us. We are brothers and we live as brothers. And as Martin Luther King has said, we must learn to live together as brothers or we must perish together as fools. We don't do that. And as he had also said, I have only love. Hate is too much a burden to bear. And that is the spirit of our constitution for communal harmony. Now, friends, the nationalism that is in the title, I looked up the dictionary meaning of nationalism. And it is essentially positive, but with a little negative aspect in one of the dictionaries. And that is what we must understand and distinguish. Oxford Dictionary says nationalism is a patriotic feeling. It is a policy of national independence. Chambers 20th Century Dictionary says one who favors or strives after unity, independence, interests, or domination of a nation is nationalist. And then, friends, Collins English Dictionary says nationalism is a sentiment based on common cultural characteristics that bind a population and often produces a policy of national independence and separatism. Now we will find that all these definitions are so positive and lead to what our constitution says is harmony amongst people. That is our nationalism. And the duty to do things, and it could be any duty. It is like the definition of dharma. Whose dharma is it? A tiger's dharma is to kill and eat. It's okay if he kills and eats because that is his dharma. Our dharma is not that. And that, friends, that nationalism is the communal harmony and unity amongst all of us. I think I would rest here.
Yeah, good. Good. Then I come to national flag. National flag is mentioned in the very first clause. Now, for the national anthem and national flag, we have certain laws. It's not simply there in the duties, but there are laws. Even before 1976 and 77, we had the laws in respect of the national flag and national honor. Now, before I proceed, again, there is a story. On 25th December 2013, that is on the Christmas Day, at a public function, a cake measuring 6 feet by 5 feet, the icing on which carried a tricolor Indian map outline with a Ashoka Chakra in the center, was cut, distributed, and consumed by special guests and about 2,500 participants, out of which 1,000 were students, children. Now, when this was published in the newspaper next day, one public-spirited person came to the court saying they have disrespected the national flag because they could not cut the national flag and could not eat it up. So I leave you there. I'll come back to this. But before that, let us understand how a national flag has to be treated. I was in Norway, standing in front of the fort, watching the scenery, the boats and the hills. Suddenly, my eyes fell on a huge national flag, our tricolor, hanging from a tall building. And I invited the attention of my fellow tourists, and we looked at that and then left that spot and tried to reach that building. On reaching, we found that this was the building called the Nobel Peace Center. Now, this was something which was not known to us when we had planned the journey, but it is just sheer luck that we came across this spot. And we were so excited. We felt like calling the tourists from the other countries and everybody, look, it is our flag. And it was because Kailash Satyarthi in that year had won this Nobel Peace Prize. So this is just an expression, when just an example of how you feel when you suddenly come across the national flag at a place where you did not expect it. And it shows how you are emotionally connected with the national flag. Mr. R. Venkataraman referred to the struggle for freedom and said, our flag, therefore, is both benediction and beckoning, because it invites us to take the country forward and to keep the national flag flying high. It contains the blessing of all those great souls who brought us to freedom. But it also beckons us to fulfill their vision of just and united India. So this is national flag and our emotion, national flag and nationalism. As we know, national flag was designed by Badruddin Taibji, converting it from the National Congress flag and on the advice of Pingala Venkayya. And it was presented to the parliament in July 1947. And the three colors, he explained, indicated valor, peace, and fertility. The chakra in the center was representative of our concept of dharma or justness, as well as the culture of India. Now, coming to the legal provisions, we have three legal provisions to note. One is the Emblems and Names Prevention of Improper Use Act 1950. Second is Prevention of Insults to National Honor Act 1971. And third is the Flag Code of India, which is, of course, a collection of government instructions, and it may have any year. I found 2002 flag code, but there are subsequent flag codes. Means subsequent changes in the flag code, maybe new rules or omission of the previous one. Now, this emblem includes the flag, and national honor takes care of the national anthem. And these two are very small acts, 3 or 4 sections, and both provide for imprisonment of 3 years in case of dishonor to the national flag and dishonor to the national anthem. They are very small acts, but they are very powerful acts. Now, in 1994, the commissioner of Bilaspur division in Madhya Pradesh, he was on a ride on a tour, I should say, on a visit to Raigad, and found the national flag on the factory building of Jindal Strips Limited. Now, the flag code as then was, did not allow a national flag to be hoisted on a private building. So he asked the managing director, Mr. Naveen Jindal, to take the flag down. He did not accept the command. He filed a writ petition under Article 226 of the Constitution of India, saying that he cannot be prevented from putting up the national flag on his factory building, and that it is part of his fundamental right under Article 19. And when the government argued that this was reasonable restriction, he said, no, this is not covered by the concept of reasonable restriction to the right of expression. Now, the High Court agreed with him and said, no, the flag code cannot take away the fundamental right. So one legal aspect was whether flag code was a law or not. And the government argued that it is covered by Article 13(3), under which these instructions have been issued by the government, and therefore they have to be treated as law. The High Court ruled that anything to cut down or obstruct the fundamental rights will have to be something provided by the exceptions covered by Clause 2. Something that is not covered by Clause 2 cannot be brought in as a government order and cannot restrict the fundamental right. So the government came to the Supreme Court. Now, there was rethinking on this particular restriction on putting up a flag on a private building. And by the time the Supreme Court took it up for hearing, it was found that government is not unwilling to allow the private citizens to put the national flag up on its own building. So the flag code stood amended, and now we are permitted to fly the national flag on any building. Nonetheless, the Supreme Court said the flag code is very important because it tells us how to use the flag and how to dispose of the flag. And in how to dispose of the flag code says it has to be disposed of in a respectable manner and in private, not in public view. Nonetheless, there was a handkerchief with the national flag printed on it, which came to the Supreme Court in an envelope just to show how the national flag was being misused. And the Supreme Court took note of it and disapproved it. And Supreme Court directed the government to investigate as to how it originated. So we know that you can't use the national flag as an handkerchief, which is used to wipe your nose, or for whatever purpose we use it. That is not permissible. Now coming to the Christmas cake. Now, the High Court went into the concept of honor and dishonor and all, and High Court found it is the intention that matters, not the act. Did the organizers intend to sort of dishonor the flag, humiliate the flag, or sort of negate the feelings of nationalism? And those who ate the national flag did they feel bad or did they feel elated for having got a cake with the national flag on it? And the High Court said, surely the feeling was positive. It was not a negative feeling. So the High Court said it was not dishonor to the national flag for having put it on the cake on this very auspicious day of Christmas and to distribute the portions to the children. So there is a long, beautiful paragraph which I am not reading, but finding time, I will request you to read that judgment. I can give you the name. This is D. Senthil State versus D.D. Senthi Kumar. D.D. Senthil Kumar, dated 22nd of March 2021. Roshan. Roshan's flag.
Yes. I was just carried away a little bit. But if you see the history of the national flag, which first came into being in July 1947, after Badruddin Tayyabji designed it, how did that design come up? At first, on the white portion, that is the middle portion, there was a charkha, Gandhiji's charkha. This charkha has been replaced by the chakra, Ashok's chakra. Okay? They had gone to take Gandhiji's permission to do so because there were a majority of people felt that our duties and our dharma come from ancient times, and Ashok the Great was a great king and he could be commemorated. So we have orange, white, and green for strength or valor, peace for white, and prosperity. And we were mainly an agrarian community, an agrarian country, and therefore fertility of land is what was taught, and therefore it was green. Incidentally, the Italian flag has the same three colors. It doesn't have a chakra, and it is vertical lines. But what I was thinking about the honor of the flag is that we must honor all countries' flags. In New York, on the Empire State Building, on our Independence Day and our Republic Day, the flag colors come up in the lights. Similarly, other countries, democratic countries, their flag colors come up on Empire State Building. Now, this is, I would say, world-class nationalism. It's not only of the nation, but it's of the world, the entire democratic world. The other point that I might want to make is, it is true that we must honor and respect our flag, but it must come from within. It cannot be enforced. We see so many times in the films, etc., that people just walk away when the national anthem is being played. And it has to be played at the end, actually. So they just want to go home. And therefore, now the national anthem is played after the trailers and before the movie begins. Now, coming to dishonor, the extent of fundamental right of expression must be seen. In America, when a person burnt the American flag and he was taken to task, the Supreme Court held this is a right of expression. At a given time, he may feel something for the country because of the government rules or whatever. And that right of expression cannot be taken away. Now, of course, it is left to each one of us to think what is reasonable restriction and when the right can be taken away and who can take it away and in which way. But as I would say, that our national flag is used differently. On Independence Day, it is hoisted because we hoisted it for the first time in 1947. From down, it went up. Then it was flying high. And on the Republic Day, after we became a republic 3 years thereafter, it had not to be hoisted. it had to be unfurled because it was always there. Similarly, there are the rules that the flag flies between sunrise and sunset because there is always light. And if you're going to have a flag on a mast during night time, there should be a light from down. So these are the things which really show us what we believe is the sacredness of our flag. When I went to United Nations, I saw that there were so many flags. And the first thing that I wanted to find out is my country's flag there? And it was there. You know? So each one of us saw their country's flag. And when all the flags are flying together in a building like the United Nations building, then we understand that these 198 countries which form a part of the United Nations are all sovereign lands. And they all must be respected equally. I think I rest there.
Okay, great stories. Very good, very good. We don't see burning of national flag in that spirit, of course.
Yes.
Similarly, I'm told, I've not seen it anywhere. I'm told that you are allowed to wear the national flag in your undergarments in America, but we
Yes.
will not tolerate national flag anywhere below the waist. So you can wear a top or, any sweater or coat with the
Correct.
national flag on it. But
Even the
you are not
slippers.
expected to wear a trouser with the national flag on it or
Yeah.
wear your socks with the national flag. So that is a difference between their sentiment and our sentiment. Well, now I come to national anthem. A national anthem, something we hear from the day we are born. I heard the national anthem as a child. I did not understand what it was. But I knew that it was something very solemn and very sacred. I think many people in India sing the national anthem because it's a very beautiful tune, very beautiful music, very beautiful words. But many of us perhaps do not want to read the words and find out the sentiment expressed. Tagore, who wrote this and who set it to tune, was a multi-talented writer. There is no match to Tagore till date. He was a genius. Many people have not seen his paintings. Very few have read his essays. He was a novelist, a playwright, a short story writer, and also a stage actor. Writing poems is a very small part of his creations. And he was a musician par excellence. He also created the melody for Bande Mataram, which was written by Bankim Chandra. From early times, there was a controversy about the song, and some said that it was written in praise of King George V. And Tagore himself was confronted with this. And he wrote in one of his letters, I would only insult myself if I care to answer those who consider me capable of such profound stupidity as to sing in praise of George IV or George V as the eternal charioteer leading pilgrims on their journey through countless ages of timeless history. Now, in this line, he is, of course, referring to the paragraphs or the stanzas which have not come in the portion which is sung as the national anthem. This is a 5-stanza poem. Only the first stanza is the national anthem. But even if we see the first stanza, which we sing, which says that the mountains, the people, the rivers, and the waves of the sea rise to seek your blessings and praise you. Tabu Shubho Name Jage, Tabu Shubho Ashishu Mage. So they rise in your name and ask for your blessings. It cannot be any human, certainly. The waves of the sea and the rivers and the mountains. I mean, it is absolutely, I do not know, absurd to think that any poet, and for that matter, Tagore could have written such verse for George V or for any George at any time in any part of the world. And this was accepted as the national anthem in January 50. But even before that, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose accepted this as the national anthem with a little variation. Now, this National Honor Act requires us to pay respect to the national anthem whenever it is being sung. Nobody can disturb the national anthem being sung by a group. Now, as Roshan just mentioned, some people object to, paying respect to national anthem at the cinema halls. They say that here we are, free, we are here for entertainment, to have a good time. Why the national anthem? And this very question was put to Sadhguru, and he answered it in his own way without showing the chapter on fundamental duties. And I think what he said was more profound than fundamental duties. And what he says, I will read out from his quote. The Indian Army and the other wings of forces, these million and odd people, are standing at our borders, constantly risking their lives. Every day you hear casualties. Please tell them, we do not care a damn for this nation, so that they can also go home and live their lives. Why are they standing there to protect this nation at the cost of their life? If you do not care anything about the nation, not caring to stand up when the national anthem is played on the screen in a picture hall is not lethargy, it is total indifference to national honor. This national anthem was played as a part of a movie. It was shown that an Indian child in UK was asked to sing, and he started singing the national anthem. This was a famous movie, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, with all famous actors there. And somebody reads the High Court of Madhya Pradesh saying that this is incorrect, should not be there in the movie. And the High Court heard him, and the opposite party, the movie makers, and High Court ruled that this was not in the fitness of things, it does not give sufficient honor to the national anthem, and the Madhya Pradesh High Court banned this portion of the movie from being shown. And naturally, they go to the Supreme Court. You can see this in Karan Johar versus Union of India. Now, before the Supreme Court could hear, there was a correction in the flag code. And the flag code said, if this national anthem is shown as a part of a movie, then during the time the movie is being played, the audience is not required to stand up. With this, the Supreme Court disposed of the matter. The question remained pending as to whether the national anthem should at all be part of a movie. So this question again came up with this gentleman following it up, Shyam Narayan Choksi. So Mr. Shyam Narayan Choksi again filed another writ petition before the Supreme Court, and finally he got the order that national anthem cannot be part of a movie like the one that was shown in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. So little portion I want to read out from this judgment. There shall not be dramatization of the national anthem, and it should not be included as a part of any variety show. It is because when the national anthem is sung or played, it is imperative on the part of everyone present to show due respect and honor. To think of a dramatized exhibition of national anthem is absolutely inconceivable. So this is how the law now stands. National anthem cannot be played as a part of a movie. When the president of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, visited the campus of Infosys at Mysore on 8/4/2007, as per protocol, the national anthem was played on the arrival of the president. And it was played when he finished his speech and the vote of thanks was given. Again, the national anthem was played. Both the times, the instrumental version was played. But nobody sang that song. And again, we have to litigate, for everything we litigate. So there was a complaint for an FIR for dishonoring the national anthem against Mr. N.R. Narayana Murthy, who was the CEO of that place. So it was, the court was told that there was a choir ready to sing that song, but he had said not to sing, only to play the instrumental version, because there were many foreigners who would not be able to join in the singing. And as we can expect, the High Court said that there was nothing wrong in playing the national anthem, the instrumental version of it, although it was not sung by a choir. At the same time, the public was not asked not to sing. So anybody who wanted to actually sing along with the instrumental version was welcome to do that. But finally, there is that famous story of Jehovah's Witness. Bharat is a wonderful country, and there is hardly any community which does not have a member in our country. In Australia, as a tourist, I found some girls distributing pamphlets and promoting their faith, which was Jehovah's Witness. Jehovah is another name for Jesus. And when I said, okay, I know about you, they were quite surprised, because even the tourists coming from Christian countries did not know that there was something like Jehovah's Witness. Now, this community became famous when we had this case in the Supreme Court, famously known as Bijoy Emmanuel versus Union of India. Now, Bijoy, Bindu, and Bindu Emmanuel, they were three siblings who were students in a particular school where national anthem was played every day in the morning assembly. Now, these three students respectfully stood up during the national anthem, but did not sing. This was noticed by some MLA on his visit to the school, and he raised this, why these children are not singing. And it was found that they were Jehovah's Witnesses, and their faith prevented them from singing in anybody's honor. Although they respected the words of the national anthem, they had no issue with others singing the national anthem or hearing the national anthem, but their faith prevented them from singing. So this was not accepted by the authorities. Eventually, all three were removed from the school. So they challenged this order before the High Court, where they did not get any relief. So eventually they reached the Supreme Court. And I remember those words the Supreme Court said, have patience. And the Supreme Court finally said, no, it is their genuine faith. It is not faking to avoid singing the national anthem. They genuinely believe, the Jehovah's Witnesses, whether they are in India or in other parts of the world, they genuinely believe that they should not sing, and therefore they have not sung, but they have not respected the national anthem. So the students were readmitted, and the legal position is now clear that need not necessarily sing, and if you respect the national anthem by standing, the national anthem, the official version is only 52 seconds. Only 52 seconds. I cannot understand why people have problem of standing for 52 seconds. In picture hall, I think it is in fact a relief to stand for 52 seconds after that long sitting. Nonetheless, it's a matter of pride. And then when we come out as a people, as the people of a particular nation, as a people with nationalism in their mind, with honor for the country and for their national anthem. So that is another feeling of when you leave the hall in big number after singing the national anthem. So my study goes this far, which says that, okay, the duties are important. Not only that, duties are enforced, they are being enforced. And of course, since this comes from the heart, it should be first in our heart so that we don't have to look into the laws, we don't have to look into the rules. And we know the natural way of honoring our heritage, honoring our nation, our flag, our our culture and our ideals of constitution, which is written in the very preamble. So with this, I end my presentation.
Ma'am, I think there couldn't have been a more elucidate topic in respect of how the journey of the flag, how it came to being, how the nationalism has to be considered. These all aspects, if one watches it straight from the judgment of Naveen Jindal, thereafter in respect to the cinema halls, and the right inputs coming from Justice Roshan Dalvi has always been so inspiring. I think that one who has to understand the spirit of nationalism, for them this session would be actually quite enriching. Over to you, Justice Dalvi.
Yes, I really said what I wanted to say about nationalism. And I would end with the duty to do what we are expected to do. That is the culmination of Article 51A. These duties, if we do not perform, we, I think, would be anti-nationals. So if we have a duty to do a certain act, if we have a duty, for example, as a judge to judge, and we do not judge as per our vote, we are an anti-national. A corrupt judge would be an anti-national, or for that matter, any public servant. Now, when we have duties actually written down, which should have gone without saying, but they have been said from 1977 onwards, how do we perform these duties, and who has to perform the duties? So, because there could be another lecture on what duties under this chapter would have to be performed by the government and not by only the citizens.
Ma'am, I always say that
it would be interesting to find out the article which deals with these duties, and then to understand whether today in our country these duties are being performed by the government.
taken well note of. I'm just reminded that do not ask what the country has done for you, but ask what your country.
Right.
So we are so glad that Justice Manju Goel shared her inputs, and though of late, Ma'am Manju Goel has come on a platform to share her knowledge. So we had been connected with her, and we feel that in the retrospect, a lot of times that we should have chipped in her knowledge for earlier also. But they say that everything is designed. We'll ask ma'am to share her knowledge on different perspectives of law. And Justice Dalvi, needless to say, that we keep on bothering her, but she always finds the pleasure to share her knowledge. Thank you to both of you, and thank you those who have been watching us. Everyone stay safe, stay blessed. Namaskar.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you.